I would like to publicly announce that I have no idea what I'm doing. I get a lot of people commenting on my videos that are around the ages of 17, 18, 19, 20 years old, and they ask me how I decided to know what to do with my life and how I knew I was going in the right direction. I want to talk about this. I still feel that exact same way, and you can never know 100% if you are on the right path. I want to talk honestly about this because I think a lot of people think that one day you wake up and you just like suddenly figure out that you know exactly what you want to do with your life. And like maybe for some people it is like that. It's just like a switch flips and you know that's what you want to do. But I think anyone would be lying if they say that every single day they're 100% sure that they're on the right path. I think it's kind of ridiculous that at 17 years old, you are expected to know what you want to do for the next 40, 50 years of your life. It really sucks to have to try to make a decision like that right away. And you really don't. Be patient with yourself and realize you don't need to have it all figured out right now. I didn't switch into an ecology major until 2 years into school because I actually started studying microbiology, doing the general ed courses for that. I did my first 2 years in community college, so I pretty much just did general ed courses the first 2 years anyway, so I didn't really even need to decide until going into my junior or my third year that I wanted to study ecology, so then I was able to switch in then, but I only switched after I had had enough education in ecology to even know that that's something I wanted to do. I've always really liked being outdoors. I was raised in a really rural place in California. I definitely didn't have the idea that being a scientist was something I wanted to do, nor did I know that was even a job when I was little. So that wasn't really something I decided until I was in college. I wanted to be a movie director, and maybe the fact that I still do YouTube videos shows that I still really enjoy film and being creative, but then I decided that's not really the career I wanted to do. One thing that made me decide I didn't want to do that career was when I thought about the stuff you're supposed to do for the career, you're supposed to make movies, or you're supposed to write scripts or something. I got filled with an overwhelming sense of dread. So I think that that's one of the things that just made me decide that I didn't want to do that career, was getting filled with dread, thinking about the stuff I had to do for that career. So if that rings a bell, I think that that's a sign in your gut saying you're going down the wrong path. Your internal signs telling you not to do that. I at least truly believe that your intuition is saying don't do it. You should be excited about taking the courses that you need to do for your major. I mean, I don't necessarily mean oh my god, I'm so excited to do organic chemistry, but looking at the electives for your major and being ooh, that sounds so interesting. For example, I took marine mammal conservation, and I was so excited reading this course description for that class because I was that was so awesome. I'm gonna learn about whales, I'm gonna learn about seals. That excitement is the kind of feeling you should be feeling towards your career. So then I took an ecology class, and when I took my first ecology class, it was required for the microbiology major, and my professor was so cool. I really, really cared about what was being taught in that class, and it was so interesting, and I got so involved, and it was probably my favorite class ever. So I think if you have a favorite class in school, that's a good place to start looking if you really enjoy one course over another. I did always like my science courses, so that could have tipped me off earlier that I wanted to be a scientist. So I would say look at the courses that you've taken, or maybe the chapters in school where you were really interested, and try to see what kind of careers come from those types of work. I went and I worked in an animal sanctuary in Bolivia, and when I worked at the animal sanctuary, that was far and beyond made me decide to do wildlife conservation, because I actually got to see boots on the ground, see that there was animals in the Amazon that needed my help. That definitely confirmed that this was the right career for me. So I think if you don't know if you're going down the right path, trying to get an internship or volunteer work in the field that you are wanting to go in is a really good idea, because then that gives you an idea of what a job actually looks like. Because picking a major isn't just what I want to study this subject forever. It's would I actually want to work in this field? If you we're going to work 9 to 5 doing this job all day, every day. Is that something that you're interested in? Or are you more interested in just studying it in school? Because studying it in school is like totally different from working in this field. If you are wanting to study lions and you don't have any interest in hiking, traveling, tracking lions, like it's not just about studying it in a book. It's about like actually having to do that as your job, 9 to 5 or whatever, for days on end. So that's something to think about realistically to see if you would actually like it. And if you don't really know, internships or volunteer work. And then another thing that I think a lot of people think is that if they pick the wrong choice, they're forever going to be wishing that they did it the other way. There are a lot of fields that some days I wish I went into instead. Sometimes I have this idea that I could have been like some international diplomat because I almost went and studied international studies in school. What if I actually did that? What if I was working for the UN and I was in like Geneva? That thought that like what could have happened, I'm not gonna say like haunts me, but I still think about that all the time. But the reality is I have to choose something. Like I can't just have like 20 ideas of things I want to do and try to do them all. Like I had to pick something. So I picked the thing that would give me a good lifestyle, that would allow me to travel, that would allow me to help the environment and allow me to help animals that I didn't hate doing all the time. Like that was just what it came down to, was I just had to pick something. But just because you like pick one career field, it doesn't mean you're going to be happy in that forever, and it could change in the future. You could decide to be a doctor in 20 years and want to go back to medical school. You really just can't think that far ahead. If you had told me when I was like my second year of high school that I was going to be working as a wildlife biologist in Canada and like traveling internationally, like I would have had no idea that was going to happen. And like in 5 years from now, I could be doing something totally different. Like, so all I can work off of is the information that I have now and what I like now and where I see my future going. I can't look into the future and suddenly decide if I change. So, but you just gotta pick something to go down, or you're forever gonna be waffling between all the what ifs and what could have been. If you aren't totally sure what you're doing, like try to do something that you don't have to commit as much for. So like community college or like a lower cost state school where you're just doing your general ed courses for the first 2 years, because generally like after the first 2 years something will pop out in your coursework, like the courses you like to take over other ones, and then that might tip you off on you actually might want to change your career field. So if you aren't totally sure, there is no shame in going to community college. I went to community college. My degree still says University of California on it. It doesn't say University of California, but the first 2 years were at community college. Like the degree is the degree. All it did was save me tens of thousands of dollars and allowed me to figure out what I was supposed to do in life. The other advice I have is a little bit more personal. Don't let your boyfriend or girlfriend that you have in high school decide what you are going to do with your life, or where you are going to live, or what you're going to study. That one was learned the hard way. Just try to be as independent as you can and go off of what you actually want to do. If that means that you and your significant other, high school boyfriend, girlfriend, are going to be separated at different universities, if it's meant to be, it's going to work out with you two. But don't compromise your future and your dreams for someone else who very realistically may not be in your life in a few years. So hopefully that helped some of you guys who are kind of lost and not knowing what they're doing. It's kind of a fallacy that when you are an adult, you suddenly know exactly what you're doing in life, because that's not how it works. I still feel like I'm a kid that is pretending to be an adult all the time. Imposter syndrome is real, and a lot of scientists feel it. A lot of women especially feel it. I feel like I'm pretending to be a scientist like all the time. You're never going to have it totally figured out, and the older you get, the more you realize that you have no idea what you're doing, even more and more. Let me know what you think and if you agree with me, and thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.